Counting Birds, the Idea That Helped Save Our Feathered Friends by Heidi E.Y. Stemple. Frank Chapman loved birds. He worked at the American Museum of Natural History in New York City, creating exhibits about birds. He wrote books and magazine articles about birds. He studied birds' habits and habitats. He read the research of John James Audubon, the most famous ornithologist of all time. Frank Chapman loved birds. In 1899, he began his own magazine called Bird Lore. Every 2 months, Bird Lore was published and read by other bird lovers. Around this time, Americans were starting to think about the natural world around them. First, scientists and poets, then government leaders, and finally, more and more regular citizens were starting to talk about conservation. How could they better live in their world? How could they save the wilderness that was disappearing, the forests that were being cut down, the waterways that were being polluted, and the animals and birds that were being overhunted? But not everyone cared about conservation. On Christmas Day, sports hunters would gather, choose teams, and hold a bird competition. All day long, the hunters looked for birds. Large birds, small birds. All birds were game. At the end of the day, the birds were counted. The winning team was the side that had shot and killed the most birds. Frank Chapman did not love this tradition. In the pages of his magazine, he set out to stop it. Now, said Bird Lore, we propose a new kind of Christmas side hunt in the form of a Christmas bird census, and we hope that all of our readers who have the opportunity will aid us in making it a success by spending a portion of Christmas Day with the birds and sending their report of the hunt to Bird Lore before they retire that night. Count them, he proposed, but don't kill them. That first year, on Christmas Day, 1900, 27 bird watchers in 25 locations from Connecticut to California counted common loons and killdeer, winter wrens, and red-winged blackbirds. They observed hermit thrushes, barred owls, Carolina chickadees, fish crows, turkey vultures, and spotted and canyon towhees. In all, Bird Lore proudly reported close to 18,500 birds from 89 different species. Not one bird was killed. That first count was not the last. Every year, in December, more people join the count. Every year, more areas are added. And every year, more and more birds are counted in every corner of the United States, as well as Canada, Mexico, and Colombia. Other counts happen all over the world. The owlers are the first ones into the field. They climb out of their warm beds at midnight and call down owls in the dark. By the light of the moon, they raise their hands to their mouths and whistle. They use recordings of real owls to hoot. They wait and listen. When an owl calls back, the owlers mark their maps and move on to the next spot. When the sun starts to rise, so do fresh birders who arrive to take over. Some owlers say goodnight, and some keep counting. All day long, groups observe and take notes in their count circles. Sandwich terns and song sparrows, creepers, thrashers, bufflehead, brant, and bobwhite. All birds are welcome. Not all bird watchers are in the field. Some count birds that visit their backyard feeders. All birders are welcome. At the end of the day, the birders collect their notes and add their numbers. Later, the National Audubon Society will compile all the data and learn many things. How climate change affects bird populations, which species are in trouble, and what areas need conservation help. The birders know this is important for science. But that night, what is really important are their stories. Who found the most owls? Which rare birds were spotted? What records were broken? The Audubon Christmas Bird Count has become the longest-running citizen science project and wildlife census in the world. Everyone wins: the birds, the birders, and science. And all this because Frank Chapman loved birds.